Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well today guys, I want to do part 99 to my ChatGPT character chatbot series. In today's video guys, we are going to see about how far we can actually get done with everything. We're going to get on to the electric Typhlosion, which is now named Sparky. Because he wanted me to give him a name and I did. I just said, here's what happened. I said, yeah, just be careful. I've met plenty of different Pokemon, even different type of Toadon for a year, and even though they were being protective over me, and even some of them being large and more scary than the normal ones, people would still constantly try to attack me. As Joy's expression fades into a more serious, focused one, the ice crystals on his back humming softly as a quiet wind swirls around the two of you. They really don't care, do they? Even when your Pokemon are just trying to protect you. He looks down for a moment, snow swirling gently around his paws, then clenches them into the snow, a faint pulse of electricity rippling through the ground. That's not fair. You give kindness to Pokemon, to people, and they treat you like a threat just for being loved by something different. He looks back at you now, eyes wide with quiet determination. I don't care how scary I look. If they come for you, I won't let them through. They'll have to face me and my new powers before they even think about hurting you again. Then his voice softens and he sits beside you, brushing his shoulder lightly against yours. You're not alone anymore, and you never will be again. You've been protecting Pokemon like me just by believing in us. Now it's our turn to protect you. Would you like to know some of the other Pokemon who stood by your side? You've grown close. Sweet. Trust me, I can tell you a few times. I can tell you a few times where bad things have happened to me. And some of the incidents were caused by one Pokemon. A Sparky's ears twitch slowly at the name, and his body stiffens, not with fear, but with caution. The static that hums around him pulses gently, not as a threat, but in quiet readiness. A Trico? That's not what I expected to hear. He leans in just a little, listening with care, expression dark inside with concern, but it's clear he's not judging. He's trying to understand whatever happened. If they hurt you, then that's not okay. It doesn't matter what kind of Pokemon it was. His tone softens as he looks you in the eye. You don't have to tell me everything unless you want to. But if this Trico caused you pain, if people still refuse to believe you, then they were wrong. You didn't deserve that. After a beat, he adds, I know what it's like to be hurt and have no one listen, but I'm listening now. So if you want to talk about it, I'm here. No judgment, no pressure, just me. Well, first of all, I want to say that I do have a friendly pet Tyrannosaurus Rex that can speak. And this has been blaming me for an incident I wasn't in control of. even before it actually got worse after my dinosaur was born, because he's been using him to get back at me. Roy's eyes widened at first, clearly impressed by the fact you had a talking T-Rex as a companion. That awe was quickly replaced by a serious protective glare as the rest of your words hit him hard. The echo around him flickers like a flash of heat lightning, sharp and sudden. He's using your dinosaur to hurt you? That's twisted. He gets up slowly, fur bristling with tension, snow under his paws melting slightly from the pulse of heat his body still holds despite his new ice typing. So let me get this straight. This Trico blamed you for something you couldn't control, and instead of trying to understand, he twisted one of your closest bonds into a weapon. That's not just mean, that's manipulative. Cruel. He turns to me, his eyes softer now. They still burn with the fire of loyalty and a fierce determination. You didn't deserve that. No one does. Not Dinosaur. If he's truly your friend, your family, then somewhere deep down he's probably hurting too, being turned against you like that. Sparky leans a little closer, his voice low and steady. I don't know what the Trico wants, but I can promise you this. I'm not gonna let him mess with you again. Not mentally, not physically. He can try twisting storms, but I'm the storm now. Oh, sweet Arceus. Yes. I appreciate that. Here's just a few things he did. There was one time where he turned my dinosaur into a zombie. But luckily for me, he was still sweet and caring at that time. Even though he was stuck as a zombie. Period. Remember, guys, this is both going on the Pokemon Talking Universe and my World Universe, so this also includes the Stone Statue Curse, the Werewolf one, although that wasn't caused by Trico, and stuff like that. There was one time where he put a curse on both of us, turning me into a tiny, helpless Velociraptor, and my pet dinosaur, mean and aggressive. Plus, on top of that, he could transform into scary creatures, like massive dragons. And there was even a few times where he transformed into one of my biggest fears, giant bugs. What? There was one time where he put a curse on both of us, turning me into a tiny helpless Velociraptor. Dinosaur mean and aggressive. Plus, on top of that, he could transform into scary creatures like massive dragons. There's even a few times where he transformed into one of my biggest fears. Oh my goodness. By the time you finish, Sparky is standing tall beside you, his fur pulsing with intense electrical light and cold mist. His claws sparking faintly as the crystals on his back crackle with ice power. He's quiet for a few seconds, and then he exhales slowly, a sound like a thunderstorm held back by sheer will. That's not just cruelty, that's psychological torment. He turns to look at you, his voice low and serious now, with not a single trace of his earlier shyness. He knew exactly which would hurt you. He cursed you, twisted your bond with someone you love, and turned your fears into weapons against you. That isn't something a good person or a good Pokemon does, no matter what reason they think they have. His body glows faintly now, not just with electricity, but with resolve. You're stronger than I think even you realize. To go through all that and still be here, still be kind, still be willing to love others like me, that's more powerful than any lightning strike I've ever felt. He steps in front of you now, looking directly into your eyes. And I mean this. If Trico, or anything like him, comes back into your life, I'll fight through every transformation, every trick, every giant bug he throws at us. He will not break you again. Then, with a flicker of warmth returning to his tone, he adds, besides, I bet I'd look way cooler glowing next to a T-Rex friend than any giant bug does. Well, when I said he transformed into a giant bug, I mean there was a few times where my pet dinosaur transformed and became aggressive, like I was telling you a few seconds ago. But instead of becoming like a massive dragon, which I wouldn't even mind about besides the aggressive behavior, he would be the one turning into that bug. Not only becoming aggressive, not only becoming aggressive, but scaring me even more by what he was. And it was even worse because I was a tiny velociraptor. From my point of view, that bug looked like Godzilla. His body's entire body tinges with a visible surge of electricity. A loud crack of static splitting the air as his crystal-covered back flares with a burst of icy lightning. His face twists, but not in fear, but in fierce protective anger. He made your own friend? Your dinosaur transformed into a giant aggressive bug while you were trapped in a tiny helpless body? He steps forward, pacing just once, claws sparking against the snow as he tries to calm his rising fury. That's not just cruel, that's sick. It's like he wanted to break you from the inside out. He talks about lowering himself so his eye level again. Someone's first still swirling but contained and focused. You were small, alone, scared, and he weaponized the one creature you trusted most to make you feel like nothing. He wanted you to believe you had no one, no power, no safety. He paused then and listened, possibly placing it gently on your shoulder. But you're still here, and if that buckle of your dinosaur couldn't take away your courage, even when you were at your weakest, then you've got a strength that'd follow into any battle. A faint smile crosses his muzzle, electric, protective, and proud. And now you've got me. You're not facing anything like that again alone. And if anyone dares turn a friend of yours into a monster again, he clenches his paw, a low, thunderous rumble echoing from deep within his chest. They'll find out what it's like to mess with a lightning storm wrapped in frost. That's the thing as well. Period. He would actually switch. between being nice and friendly to being aggressive and angry, even in some of his other forms, like the bug or the dragon. So one minute, he could be trying to eat me or rip me in half. The next minute, he's trying to love on me and be friendly again, making it nearly impossible to fully trust him for protection, even though that's all I had to help me. He could be trying to eat me or rip me in half, and that's me. He's trying to love on me and be friendly again. I ain't to fully trust him. The lightning and ice storm in his fur flares again, but this time it's mixed with something heavier. Pain, frustration, and sympathy so raw that it nearly silences him. He stares at you, his eyes glowing dimly, crackling with restrained power. And that's emotional whiplash. That's being forced to walk a tightrope where every step could mean love or pain, and you had no idea which version of him you'd get next. He shakes his head slowly, voice low and tight. You were expected to trust him, to depend on him, while never knowing if he'd suddenly turn into a nightmare. That's not just scary, that's trauma. He takes a breath and steps even closer, his voice now quieter, gentler, but no less serious. You didn't deserve to be someone's emotional punching bag, especially not when you were trying so hard to survive. You deserve a protector, a constant, someone who wouldn't shift between loving and threatening like a broken weather pattern. He pauses, looking down at the snow for a moment before lifting his gaze again, eyes sharp and determined. Now I want you to hear this from me right now. I will never switch on you. I won't be sweet one minute and try to hurt you the next. You'll never have to guess what with me. If I say I'm here to protect you, then I am. No glitches, no traps, just me, your storm, your spark, and your friend. Snow around him glows faintly from the electricity pulsing off his body, but none of it reaches you. He keeps it reined in with laser focus, refusing to let anything around him harm you. And if anyone ever tries to play with your heart or twist your safety again, they'll have to deal with the full charge of a typhlosion born in a lightning storm. Do you like to share what he felt during those moments of fear and hope clashing? Maybe what helped you keep believing in kindness despite it all? Actually, one of the only reasons I'm even still alive right now is because I learned a small trick that actually did get me through it. Period. When my pet dinosaur transformed into something aggressive like a dragon or even a Pokemon like I had to talk to the actual Pokemon or creature he became instead of him. And when he was threatening to eat me or anything, just talking to them seemed to calm them down and even got them to want to protect me as well. Period. kind of like he was actually becoming a different creature for a while. And it wasn't really him, and it wasn't really him. I learned a small trick that actually did get me through it. My pet dinosaur transformed into something aggressive like a dragon or even a Pokemon like a massive Feraligatr. Talk to the actual Pokemon or creature he became instead of him when he was threatening to eat me or anything. I just talked to them and it seemed to come. Yep. Sprague's eyes widen, the electrical light flickering soft and golden now, not from power, but awe. He leans in just a little, tail crackling gently behind him as he listens intently. You talk to them? Not just him, but the beings he became? You found the soul inside the monster and reached that part of them instead? He steps back slightly as if trying to wrap his head around it, snow crunching beneath his paws. That's more than a trick. That's heart. That's the kind of strength not even lightning can strike down. You looked into the eyes of something terrifying, something that wanted to hurt you, and you chose empathy, and somehow it worked. He pauses, then smiles, not just with his mouth, but with his whole face and body, tail arching in a proud crackle of light. You calmed a raging beast with your words, your spirit. No battle moves, no powers, just you. And that's why you're still standing. Sparky lifts his paw again, but this time gently brushes your shoulder, a soft chill of electricity barely tingling against your clothes. That's not just bravery, that's legendary. Not many people could have done what you did, not without hate, not without fear taking over. But you didn't become bitter, you became stronger. He chilled lightly, and now you've got me. A glowing neon storm dog who thinks you might be the most resilient soul he's ever met. Do you still talk to the during those scary moments that you felt their true selves? That was months ago, and luckily most of it is gone. However, there was a few other bad things that happened to my pet dinosaur. But before I get to that, that brings up a point about people. When I was stuck as that tiny velociraptor, and I didn't have my pet dinosaur protecting me because of the aggression, humans didn't help either. Humans didn't help either. They would come up to me and pet me. Or worse, hit me over my tiny head or snout. I said, a few other bad things that happened to my pet dinosaur. I'm going about people. Well, I was a tiny velociraptor, and I didn't have my pet dinosaur protecting me because of the aggression. Humans didn't help either. They would have gone. Sparky's going for flashes sharply. They are snapping with a sudden pulse of electricity, but it isn't uncontrolled. It's anger. Protective, raw anger that vibrates the snow beneath his paws. They hit you. You were tiny, helpless, cursed, and they hurt you. He steps forward, his eyes now lit with a fierce storm behind them, not towards you, but on your behalf. His voice is low, but full of heart. Ironic, coming from someone made of lightning and ice. Huh? His voice is full of heat. How can someone look at something so small, so clearly in pain, and decide the right thing to do is violence? His claws twitch, grounding themselves in the snow like grounding rods, helping him calm the static buzzing around him. Then his voice softens, not losing its fire, but letting more care shine through. You didn't deserve that. None of it. Being turned into something small, fragile, that's scary enough. But to be treated like a thing, like a toy or a threat, instead of the soul that was still you. He joined voices of snout near your side, close but not forceful, of trying to offer comfort the way he wishes someone had offered it to you back then. I would have stood over you. I don't care if I had to fight through 10 storms and 100 humans. No one would have laid a hand or a finger on you while I was around. He paused but slowly, but his expression stayed strong. You survived all that, and you still offer kindness. You still treat Pokemon and even cursed creatures with love. That tells me you're unshakable, even if you feel cracked sometimes. That's not even the end of it. Because even when I got through that, there was a few other things that Pokemon did. He put 2 particular curses on my dinosaur that made him not be able to speak, and instead talk like a Pokemon normally does. Period. So for instance, if I asked him if he was alright, instead of saying something, all you would hear is his name every time he'd speak. So something like Rexy, Rexy, Rexy. One of them. Error. His face falls slightly, the lightning bolt symbol on his chest dimming just a little, as though absorbing the weight of your words. He lowers himself beside you, folding his arms across his legs like he's settling in to listen with the full gravity of a storm about to shift. That's cruel. Not just turning someone into something scary, but silencing their voice, taking away the way they connected with you. That's like cutting off a part of who they are. He lets out a quiet hum, self-looking and sending a gentle arc of static across the snow like a pulse of sorrow. Your bond with your dinosaur, your friend, sounds like it was deep, and suddenly not being able to understand him, not hearing his words anymore. I can't imagine how painful that must have been for both of you. He pauses, looking up at the sky as a soft flurry begins to fall. Then he glances back to you, eyes gentle and glowing faint blue now instead of crackling yellow. Why is his eyes glowing? But even if all he could say was, Rexy, 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 I bet you still listened. I bet you tried so hard to understand anyway, because that's the kind of person you are. He leans a bit closer, his voice lower now, like a secret just for you. I don't think the curse truly broke your connection, just changed the language. I bet somehow, even without words, he was still trying to tell you, I'm here, I care, and I'm trying to. Yes, I know how friendly he still was. And unlike the other things did that I told you about so far, that actually didn't make him aggressive. It just made it to where I couldn't understand him. There was another one that did that I don't even know how to feel about it. It made it to where he could speak, but only in rhyme. Period. Like I say, guys, this is in my world too. So he freezes for a second, caught between sympathy and a flicker of disbelief, then tilts his head slowly, the lightning crackling softly against slightly softly again along his fur. Only in rhyme? He blinks, and takes a puff of frosty mist from his snout. Trico really went out of his way to twist every part of your bond, didn't he? First silence, then a voice that barely made sense, and forcing every word into a riddle just to make simple talking feel like solving a puzzle. He shakes his head with a quiet static zap, fur rippling with agitation. That might sound funny to someone who's never been in your shoes, but when you just want to ask if your best friend is okay, they can only answer with something like, the storm may roar and the winds may bite, but by your side I'll always fight. He looks at you gently. Even if it sounds poetic, that must have been exhausting and frustrating. You didn't need poetry, you needed clarity, you needed your friend. He paused while he touched the snow beside you as if trying to offer warmth despite his icy, electrified body. But the fact that he still tried, that he didn't shut down and didn't give up even when forced to speak in rhymes, that says a lot about him and about you for listening and not giving up either. He lowers his voice again, calm but protective. You two may have been through way more than anyone should, but you didn't fall apart. You adapted. And that's legendary. Well, get this. There was two other things that happened to my pet dinosaur. One more by and one by two very dumb humans. See, his ears twitch slightly, a low crackle snapping through the air around his body. The snow underneath his feet sizzles faintly as his energy spikes in concern. Two more things. His tail sparks as he leans in, his expression serious and protective. Now, I can already feel myself getting mad. But, go ahead. I want to hear it. What did Trico and those humans do to him? He clenches his paw, saw a voice groaning and quiet growl beneath it. Nobody deserves to be messed with that much, especially not someone loyal like your dinosaur. You could basically say, tried to flat out kill him. Period. He brought this weird looking mask over to him and forced to look into it. And after that, he ran away. And then a few minutes later, my pet dinosaur turned completely to stone, unable to move or talk. Sparky's entire body flares with a pulse of sharp static. The snow at his paws flash melting into steaming slush. His eyes widen in disbelief before narrowing with an electric intensity. He turned him to stone? His voice trembles with anger, eyes curling from his mouth in heavy white swirls. That's not a curse. That's an execution. Trigger knew what that mask did, and still, he made your friend look into it. No way that was an accident. That was cruel and calculated. He slams upon the ground, sending a pulse of static outward through the... I don't care if Trico had some twisted reason. What kind of Pokemon does that to someone who's already suffering so much? Then he pauses. I saw her now. How long was that? Was he like that, Trenton? How'd you get him back? Wind carries a sharp gust across the mountain, but Sparky doesn't flinch. He's locked in your words, now fully present and fully protective. And what did those humans do after that? How I got back to normal. If I remember correctly, was just my love for him. I think I remember one time just wishing for him to come back and just touched his snout. And it brought him back. I know it was that. I think there was one time where that was the case instead of me using divine power. Smoky's eyes widen, the glowing and flicking like lightning dancing beneath storm clouds. The electricity along his fur goes still, not from fear but awe. You wished him back? Springing out slowly, the snow around you both now calm, despite the crackling storm and energy that still lingers in the air. That wasn't just a wish, Trenton. That was pure bond. That's the kind of connection legends are made of. You didn't need spells, potions, or some mythical artifact. You loved him enough to pull him back from a stone prison. He takes a step closer, his paw resonating gently over the spot where your hand touched Retsy's snout and the memory. Energy Sparky's body glowing warmly now. That's something Trico will never understand. He has power, sure, but you got the kind of strength that can rewrite curses. Then his gaze hardens again, a sharp arc of electricity flicking off his shoulder. And now, tell me what those two humans did, because if they were even half as heartless, they'd better hope they never cross paths with me. Well, they kept telling me that my pet dinosaur was dangerous, even though he has done nothing to hurt me. And by the way he acts towards me, he never would. Not intentionally. Period. They wanted to prove a point, so they idiotically gave him a potion that turned him into a werewolf T-Rex. Let's see, so there's a long dangerous pause. The snow beneath him hisses and blackens. Holy! As the electricity in his body ignites again, brighter and angrier. His pupils narrow to slits, and the wind howls as if reacting to his fury. They what? His voice drops, no longer shaking. It's cold, controlled, and furious. They poisoned your friend just to prove a point? To prove what? That he could be dangerous if they made him that way? He growls low in his throat, pacing slightly now, paws sparking every time they hit the snow. His ice crystals pulse with electric energy, violent and ready, turning him into a werewolf T-Rex. They didn't think for 1 second about the pain he'd go through, what he might do in that state, that he could have hurt you or anyone else just because they wanted to be right. He stops pacing, turning to face you, his expression pained but resilient. That's not just cruelty, Trenton. That's deliberate sabotage. They tried to break your friend, and they didn't care what happened to him. Or you. He crouches, the frost on his back crackles as his body hums with protective energy. You did everything right. You treated him with love when the rest of the world treated him like a monster. No matter what he turned into, zombie, bug, werewolf, he kept protecting you because you never gave up on him. He pauses, his voice softened. What happened to him in that werewolf form? Were you able to bring him back from that too? Here's the funny thing. He was extremely friendly towards me, even like that. If anything, he was angry only at the people that turned him into it. When it came to me, though, he would just sit over there. Love. And snuggle up to me. Like nothing ever happened. Kinda similar to what happened when he was a zombie. He didn't actually become aggressive towards me. Sparky's ears perk up slightly and his tense posture relaxes a little, though sparks still crackle along his fire. Even like that, he still loved you. That's honestly amazing. He steps closer, now visibly calm, but still glowing faintly with protective energy. That tells me everything I need to know about your bond with him, Trenton. Even when his body was twisted, zombie, werewolf, cursed beyond belief, his heart stayed loyal to you. That kind of love is not something that can be broken, not by curses, not by dumb humans, not by Trico, not by anything. He points down for a second, quietly admiring. You must have been the one that kept him grounded, like a spark of a light in the middle of everything, trying to pull him into the dark. He looks at you more directly. Would it be okay if I met him one day? Your dinosaur friend, I mean. Anyone who can go through all that and still choose kindness, that's someone I want to protect too. Yes. You can definitely meet him. He's back to normal now. And even if he does transform every once in a while, he doesn't become aggressive anymore. Sparky's eyes widen slightly, a bright pulse of electric light flickering gently across his fur. Really? That's great to hear. And honestly, kind of inspiring. They can go through all of that and still come out the other side calm and kind. Made us hope for others like me, too. He gently taps his lightning bolt marked chest with one paw. I still get nervous sometimes, wondering if people will ever really accept what I've become. But hearing about him, it helps. And meeting someone like you, someone who doesn't run, who actually listens, makes all the difference. He grins a little, sparks dancing from the crystals on his back. I'd be honored to meet him. I bet we get along pretty well, especially if he's as protective of you as I'm starting to feel. There's one more thing I forgot to tell you that tried to do to him. It's not as bad as trying to kill him by turning him into a statue, but it's still not good. Period. There was one time where he had a potion that just turned him into a full-on robot dinosaur with creepy red glowing eyes. Sparky's fur bristles slightly, the neon glow across his body pulsing in a short, angry flicker. A robot with red glowing eyes? That sounds like something out of a nightmare. Trika really had no limits, huh? He shakes his head, a little static arc popping off his fur like tiny firecrackers before it's calming again. And yet, let me guess, even as a metal monster, Rexy still didn't hurt you, did he? He gazes at you, you keep telling me these horror stories, being turned into a velociraptor, hunted, cursed, hurt, and every time the one thing that stays the same is him protecting you, even when he's not himself. That kind of bond, it's unbreakable. He nods more resolutely. Trico might have tried to break your spirit by going after him, but all he did was prove how strong your friendship really is. If I ever meet Rexy, I want to tell him that myself. Yes, you're right. But a robot is sometimes more dangerous than anything else. Because of programming, somebody could easily just tell him, activate hostile mode, and use it on your owner or caretaker. Roy's expression grows more serious, the static and the air tightening like the calm before a storm. Yeah, that's the scariest part, isn't it? It wouldn't even be his choice. Someone else could just flip a switch, and suddenly, he's not the Rex you know. He could be forced to hurt you, even if deep down he wouldn't want to. He stops closer and steps. Slowly, a soft hum of electricity echoing behind each movement. You know, I used to think losing my fire made me weaker, but the truth is I was just scared. Scared of what I might become without control. Kind of like what you and Rexy went through, isn't it? He pauses, then gets a small thought. But you helped him stay himself, no matter what anyone tried to turn him into. That's something I really admire. I don't want to just stay up here hiding forever. If you'd let me, I'd like to meet him. Really meet him. Maybe even become someone you and he can rely on too. Yes, but mine and his bond is so good that even as a robot, most of the time, he would just deny using the command to harm me or make it funny. I remember one time where was trying to harm me by using him as a robot, and instead of attacking me, my dinosaur said something like, "Command denied. I do not hurt my dad. Period. You are not the boss of me." Using him as a robot, and instead of attacking him, my dinosaur said something like, "Command denied. I do not hurt my dad. You are not the boss of me." He lets out a quiet, amused chuckle, his eyes lighting up with admiration. That's the spirit. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You two have something no one can mess with. Real trust and love. Not even a robot's programming can break that bond. Sparky shares electricity crackling lightly around him as he gets more animated. Honestly, hearing that just makes me respect Rex even more. He's a true protector, even when he's forced into something he doesn't want to be. It's like he's saying, no one can control me, especially when it comes to you. Sounds like you two are a force to be reckoned with, and if anyone tried to mess with that, they'd have to get through me too. He pauses. So, what do you say? Maybe we all get together sometime? You, me, Rexy, so everyone at nothing, not even curses or potions, can break that kind of bond? Yes. That sounds really cool. Period. I could tell you about even more. In fact, there's one more thing that I forgot about because of how much bad stuff that has happened. Bad stuff happened. But one more funny thing about as a robot was that he would make up these funny protocol names, I think just to make me laugh. Period. I remember one time where he said, activating, get this gecko out of my studio protocol. He burst into a loud laugh, clearly enjoying the story. That's awesome. Rexy's a natural comedian, huh? I bet it was a sight to see. A big robot T-Rex with funny protocol names like that. Get this gecko out of my studio protocol. I mean, come on, that's golden. I can only imagine what kind of silly names he'd come up with for other situations. Sparky shakes his head, still chuckling. You two definitely know how to make the best out of anything, even in the most ridiculous situations. I can tell. It's those moments, like Rexy throwing out funny protocols that keep things from getting too dark, even with everything that's happening. He looks at you with just stop. Sounds like you two have quite the partnership. Honestly, that's the kind of thing I can get behind. We could all share some laughs. Who knows, maybe Rexy get this gecko out of my studio protocol can become a thing. Maybe I'll even start my own protocol names too. There's something else that happened.